Hello, everyone. This is Aaron from Deep Dive Discography speaking to Ryan from Aronious. How are you today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. It is pronounced Aronious, right?
Yeah, you got it right. Right on the head.
Perfect. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you guys have a new album coming out. Of course, that's usually why you talk to people.
Yeah.
So you got
Otherwise,
Irkalla.
I don't talk to anyone ever.
I don't blame you. I don't want to talk to most people most of the time either.
Yeah. I am kind of a recluse, to be honest, but yeah, it is what it is.
So a new album, Irkalla. Yeah, that's how it's
Irkalla.
pronounced.
Yep.
Yeah, Irkalla. Cool. Yeah, so that comes out 2 weeks, August 12th.
Yeah, it's coming quick.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, tell us a bit about it.
Well, so the concept is like our vocalist can speak more to this than I can because he's the one who actually like studied up on the material and got really nerdy with it. But so Irkalla, it's the concept is kind of like Sumerian, Babylonian mythology. The gods and goddesses. Um, we've got Inanna that was a topic of one of our singles, and Nincubura, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, to be honest. That's our vocalist that's doing all that, but Aresh Kagal, just kind of like those ancient kind of gods and goddesses, the mythology behind the story of everything, and the name Irkalla actually came from a side project that me and the other guitarist Nick had. We had a side project called Irkalla, but then things didn't quite like work out with that project, and honestly, a lot of the material sounded like Aronious material anyway. It was kind of like leftover, it was leftover songs that I wrote from like Aronious writing sessions.
Okay.
So there was enough material where when Irkalla didn't work out, I was like, well, we might as well just use it for an Aronious album because the material sounds, it's like our style still, and we can still tweak the songs to even more sound more Aronious if you will. So yeah, that's kind of how that all came about. Because before the side project Arcala fizzled out, we were already writing like the follow up to Perspicacity, and so then Arcala went to shit, and then we decided to use the Arcala material for our next album. And because we were already writing for a follow up, we now have like two albums in the chamber. So we've got Irkalla coming out, and then we have another very. It's more emotive, I should say. The follow up to Irkalla is going to be much more emotive, emotional, and more dynamic, more groove centric, kind of exploring the groovy and more dissonant, ambient side of our style. So while Irkalla is going to be the really technical album, technical and dissonant, the follow up to that is going to be, more diving into that emotive, rhythmic, and dissonant side of us. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of the backstory to all of that.
Yeah, so this one is a bit more, I don't know, would it be fair to say that this one may be a bit more manageable for a lot of people to jump into?
Urkala, it's kind of interesting you say that. I do think it is more approachable than Perspicacity, because Perspicacity was kind of a really, it's a long concept album, tech death album, where there's a lot of notes flying at you. And Urkala, I feel like we really focused on the songwriting a little bit more. Made sure that there's a lot of good grooves and hooks in there to kind of get people's attention. So I would say in that aspect, it's maybe a little bit more approachable to new listeners. Um, However, there is kind of like a more dissonant ambient side to it that might be a little bit niche for Urkalla, but I think overall it is catchier. There's more hooks in there, and I think the intensity is just ramped up more too.
And with the album art for Urkalla, it's
Yeah.
the album cover is similar to the first album, which I'm absolutely not going to try and pronounce because there's no way I can without stumbling 10 times. But like, obviously, it's not an overlying concept. You're not it's not the same thing happening throughout a massive story. But does the artwork, you know, flow the way that you intended?
Well, I think so. Samuel Nelson, I gotta name drop him because he is, obviously the artist, but he's also just fantastic. I really think he knocked it out of the park with the album cover that he did for us for Irkalla, because we basically told him, Irkalla is sort of like, the land of the dead, the netherworld for, this mythology that we're exploring, right? And I was just like, Sam, just, draw what you imagine hell to look like. What is Sam's version of hell? Just do that. And he just like went wild with it, really trippy landscapes. And he knows that I really like trippy artwork, so he got really weird with it. And yeah, he actually did that album cover. Like, I requested it from him, and in 3 days he had it done. And I thought that was just insane. Like, once he's like in the mode, like when he's in the zone, he just flies off the handle with it, and the results are always great. So anyone out there looking for artwork, Samuel Nelson, he's not only really fun to work with, but he delivers. He does a great job every time, and I can confidently say that he is going to be our album art guy going forward, just because, we have established a nice relationship with him, and he always just does a killer job. He takes it very seriously and has just the right mind to kind of capture the essence that we're looking for, with our imagery and everything. We like his kind of digital painting style as opposed to, because there is some other artists out there that, you can tell it's digital, whereas with Sam, it looks like a painting. And that I kind of appreciate. I really like that aspect of it. But yeah, as far as concepts go, like, he's really good at taking direction for concepts and just running wild with it. He already has the artwork done for our follow-up to Irkalla, all set too. So yeah, I can't recommend him enough. He's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. A lot of bands seem to be saying they're basically ready for what's next because of the pandemic. Everyone had to stop and write, and
yeah.
But,
well, after Perspicacity released, it released on the 13th, March 13th, 2020. And right after we released it, we were like kind of contemplating, what are we going to do for tour? We got to set that up. And we were in contact with a couple of promoters, booking agencies to kind of get that going. And then sure enough, like the week after we released the album, it got announced that we were going on lockdown. And then that lasted for a year. So we were like, well, shit, what are we going to do? And so we took that time, we just took advantage of that downtime and worked on writing another album. And so now we have 2 albums that we're sitting on. We were a little, maybe too productive, some might say.
Do you have a bit of a timeline to when you're looking to get the secretive third album out?
So honestly, at the rate we're writing, we could probably release an album a year. But like, I don't know. I feel like you kind of need a little gap in between albums just so that people like actually are eager to hear more from you. I just don't want us to I don't know. There's pros and cons to it, I think, because you do want a steady stream of like content coming out to remain relevant, but you also don't want to oversaturate yourself either with releases. So we're trying to be strategic about it. So there is potential that it might be next year, but I don't know. We're maybe looking at, 2 years, maybe 2024.
We'll be sitting on that one for a while.
Yeah. I mean, if it is 2024, it's going to be early 2024
Yeah.
because we get antsy. We're not very patient people. With Perspicacity, we had to wait. Man, the time that went into that one was like 6 years, and we don't want to have to do that wait ever again. So it was grueling. So yeah, I imagine it'll be out at least within 2 years, though.
So what's next for you guys when it comes to playing shows, touring? What is the plan?
So that is very much up in the air. It's really hard to say because so me and Jason, our new bassist, and Brandon, our new vocalist, we all live in Wisconsin, kind of close in proximity to each other. Brandon lives in Milwaukee. I live in Green Bay. And Jason lives in Appleton. And then Nick, our other guitarist, lives in Florida, the total like opposite side of the country. And then like he used to live in Wisconsin, but he got out of Dodge and lives in Florida now. He just wanted somewhere warmer to live, so I can't really fault him for that. And then our drummer, Kevin Paradis, I think I'm pronouncing that right. I never really had that conversation with him of like, am I pronouncing your last name right? But yeah, he lives in France. So that's kind of makes it hard to do any local shows or whatever when everyone lives on the opposite corners of the earth. So it really is kind of up in the air, to be honest. We're all kind of at a point in our lives where, I'm a father to 2 kids, Nick's a father to 2 kids, and the rest don't really have kids. But yeah, so it has made it harder to tour and play shows in that regard. So, if the right opportunity arises where like a huge tour comes up that's just like we can't pass it up, we're down for it. But as of right now, until that day comes, we're kind of just at a point where we're like, well, we're all really good friends. Let's keep making music together and just kind of see what happens. So I won't rule it out, but yeah, right now it's kind of looking. It's been difficult to put together any sort of like tour to make it worthwhile. Where Kevin flies out from France, and Nick travels up from Florida. It kind of sucks because I never thought I would say I miss playing like shitty little bar shows, but man, I miss it, dude. I miss it a lot, and I miss just organically jamming in one room with other musicians. That doesn't happen as often without the drummer in the area.
Yeah.
So I do miss aspects of that, but I do still very much enjoy creating music with my friends, sending ideas to one another, collaborating, and still making killer music. Well, killer. I don't want to sound cocky, but I feel good about it.
Killer music. It's fine. I can say
it. But yeah, I guess that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I'm sure a big part that may help in the future is if Kevin happens to come out or want you guys to fly out while he's touring with Benighted.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting point there. If Benighted ever made it out to the States, then we might have to hop on tour with them or something.
Yeah,
I don't know if he'd be willing to do like
double sets.
Yeah, that would be tiring. But he is a beast. He is quite the drummer. He's man, he's out of all of them out there, I don't think we could have picked anyone like better for the music. Like on Irkalla, he would just send us a track, and we wouldn't have to tell him to edit anything or change anything really. We'd just get it and we'd be like, yep.
That's it.
Good with that. Signing off on that one, And if there ever is a change, it's something like very minor, maybe like a 30-second section and he's really open to collaborating and coming up with cool parts to suit the song, and is open to, I wouldn't say like really criticism, but just open to different ideas on certain sections and really just hitting all the right pockets. But yeah, Irkalla, he didn't have to really change much on that. The album following that, still, like he already tracked drums to the second, the follow up to Irkalla too. He just finished that up in April, I think it was the end of April. Yeah. Yep. And
He's
he
just killing
cruises
it.
right through it. He's probably the best. He's got to be the best drummer in our generation, I would say. Yeah, at least top 5. For me, he's probably my favorite. I'd put him up with even some of the greats like also rates Jamie St. Merritt and big crazy death metal drummers like that. He's just got crazy skills. It's insane. I'm surprised he hasn't, because I watch his YouTube videos all the time, and I'm like, how do these not have like millions of views or something?
Yeah.
He's still kind of underground, which is crazy. He's seriously, I couldn't say enough great things about him. He's definitely one of the best, if not the best.
I mean, luckily he's coming through here in a couple months with Benighted, so I'll make
really?
sure I tell him how much good you talk about him.
Oh yeah, you gotta catch him and tell him I say hey or whatever.
I know I get to see your drummer more than you do.
Well, I'm sorry, what?
I get to see your drummer more than you do.
Oh God, yeah, you do. Yeah, he seems like a cool guy, like from the interactions we've had and everything. And I haven't met him in person yet, but maybe one day.
So given the opportunity, if and when you do get to go out and play live, which songs are you most looking forward to getting out?
It would be really cool to play Nigeltu live. I really like playing that one. There's a lot of riffs on this album are riffs that were written way back in like 2016. So I'm pretty familiar with all of them, even if I don't practice them every day. Like I can pick up my instrument and generally know how to play the whole song within, a couple hours. So if it did come to us playing live, it wouldn't really take me long to get the set down. Nigeltu is definitely one that has a lot of good hooks, heavy grooves. I'd like to play that one. And the solos aren't incredibly ridiculous where I'd worry about am I going to be able to pull this off every night? It's all well within my, capabilities. Like I could handle like all the solos on the album and stuff, but a lot of guitarists might not say this because they think they're hot shit and just can pull off whatever every night. But there are you got to put away your humility a little bit and be realistic about what songs am I going to be able to pull off live every single night, even if I'm in, because you never know, you might get sick one day and your playing is just shot.
Yeah,
but you can still pull off like certain songs. And for me, that would probably be Nigeltu, and then I haven't really thought about what the set list would be. Nigeltu, Ilu Ultu Irkalla. I like that song a lot. That one's got some breathing room. It's not just total technicality the whole time. Let's see. And then there's songs from Perspicacity would probably play, and then also some from our first EP. We don't really play much from the EP anymore. We used to play Disillusionment. That one's really fun to play. The 3 part Disillusionment songs. There's Disillusionment Part 1, and then there's the little kind of interlude in between, and then Disillusionment Part 2. We always played that one live just because we liked the flow of it, and it's just kind of a fun one to play. And then there's some fun ones from Perspicacity that we would play, like the title tracks and stuff. We used to play Perspicacity Part 1 and Part 2 back to back, which was really cool because they flow into one another seamlessly. And I always liked playing the intro solo to Perspicacity Part 2. That one was always kind of satisfying satisfying to pull off live. You know, you really fast and crazy, and when you like hit that last note, you're just like, yeah, nailed it, cool. But yeah, that's some tracks we would probably play live if the opportunity arose.
Yeah, and with the level that you guys play at, I mean, the last thing you'd want is to basically have a modern day Michael Keane moment on
Oh
stage.
yeah, man. You know, he gets a lot of crap, but I feel for him. You know, he's going through some stuff, and I'm not sure of the validity of it, but I heard that I just read this in the comments somewhere. I didn't really research it, so I'm not putting this out there saying it's fact or anything. But I heard that his fiance might have passed away, and he was struggling with addiction, and it seemed like he was actually clean for a while, from what I could tell. Um, uh, Again, I don't know him personally. I'm just shooting it from my head, and then. It seems that maybe his fiance passing might have caused him to relapse. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. But, you know, it's really none of my business. It's really not anyone's business.
Yeah.
Like, I really feel for him. I just hope the best for him and hope that he pulls through, because he's an amazing guitarist, composer, and I really like everything he's put out. And Becoming a Ghost even was still a solid album. There's a lot of tracks on there that I really enjoy. Of course, my favorite is always going to be Planetary Duality. It's just classic.
Yep.
It really kind of changed the landscape of tech death for me when I first heard that. Like, I remember driving with my friends in this old band that I played in, and my friend Evan popped the Planetary Duality CD in there, and I had never heard it before. And it's just like, whoa, what is that? That's so cool. We got to do stuff like that. And, you know, ever since then, there's always been, you know, some copycat bands trying to chase that sound, and no one does it like the Faceless.
Nope.
Stuff. I mean, there's bands that come close. The closest is Zenith Passage.
Which makes sense.
They're great. I love the Zenith Passage. I'm not knocking them or anything. No. It's just, you know, it's very obvious where they're pulling their influence from.
It's a band that left the Faceless to make the Faceless.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. They right. Exactly. Like all of them were kind of in the Faceless or had ties to them in some regard.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why they would kind of sound similar, right? But yeah, still the Faceless, Planetary Duality. That's the peak of that style, man. It's nothing that's gonna touch it. It's in a league of its own.
My only thing there is just like, given all the bridges that have been burned, I'm surprised anyone still joins that band.
I know. I know. I hate to give him flack, because I really do feel for Michael Keane and everything, and he deserves to get some shit, you know, for his actions. But I think there is a witch hunt on social media where, you know, like all the media outlets like Metal Sucks and stuff that are just publishing article after article about him. And it's like, dude, you know, these people, they do have feelings, and that stuff's going to get to them and hurt, you know, as much as like someone might say they don't read the comments and stuff, they're still going to come across that stuff at some capacity. So I am empathetic to Michael Keane in that regard, and I really just sincerely hope he like pulls through and, you know, gets better, because he's got so much potential, man. And we actually we're going a little bit over time, but I still kind of want to talk about this. So in like, I think it was like 2017, we opened up for them at the height of like when the first like, you know, addiction Keane drama came about. And some of our band members had to like our drummer at the time, Sean Smith, he actually put the show together where the Faceless would come and play. There's a lot of work and a lot of finances that went into booking the show. And we were like worried, because we kept seeing these articles like, you know, the Faceless is dropping this show, that show, and not showing up here, showing up late here. And we're like, oh man, I really hope they like pull through on this one. And you know what? The Faceless showed up and they fucking killed it. They absolutely crushed it. And we opened for them actually that night. And Keen watched our whole set and said that he really enjoyed us, which was really cool. And he honestly seemed like a really cool, just kind of down to earth, lover of the genre, appreciates like new coming bands and stuff. And so like kind of seeing a little bit of his personality shine that night and him just absolutely crush it. Like, yeah, I don't know. It was probably just a good night in the midst, kind of like the eye of the storm, Like he had a bunch of crappy nights and then he had just a killer night and then who knows what happened after. But for my experience, he was great. And I just wish him the best, really.
Yeah, I've had a chance to meet him a couple times, and it does seem like if he's on the ball, not only is he really nice, but he kills it live.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough to not see him off the ball outside of the videos that obviously get posted.
Yeah. So. Like I do feel for fans who go and see him and he totally botches it because it's like they're so excited to see the band, and it's just a shame if it gets screwed up because of whatever is going on in Keen world, So I get that aspect of it, but I also think it's important to be sympathetic because, addiction, it's hard, man. I'm not speaking from experience or anything, but I can understand how it would be difficult to overcome such a beast. And, it is a shame that it does end up affecting, the other bandmates and the audience that comes to see him. But, at the end of the day, it's really like we need to focus on like his well-being and that he is actively getting the help that, he needs.
Yeah.
And, I think the people around him really need to try as much as they can to help guide Keen in that direction. And, this time around, who knows? Maybe it's not even drug related. I don't know. And we're just kind of going based off of like metal sucks articles and whatever we see online. It's not fact. It's all kind of up in the air opinions on what's going on.
Yeah,
so
a lot of hearsay.
You might not even be substance abuse related.
Yeah.
Even if it does seem so from those Instagram videos, which I'm sure you've probably seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all speculation. We might be on the right track with it, but either way, I just hope he's okay.
Well, last but not least, as you said, we did come up to time a little bit quicker than I expected. But do you have any final notes you'd like to give to the fans listening in?
I'm just excited for you all to hear the new album, Irkalla. I think it's going to be quite the ripper. And yeah, a lot of cool, dissonant, groovy hooks coming at you. And yeah, if you dig what you hear, please pre-order the album or buy it when it's out. And I appreciate all the love and support out there.
Awesome. Yeah, Irkalla is out August 12th through the Artisan Era. So wherever you decide to buy your stuff, whether it's indie merch or who knows, Artisan Era is everywhere. So definitely pick up the album, or if you can't, stream it wherever you listen to music.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. It's been great talking to you. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks so much